For most of my life, I couldn't take a compliment. I just couldn't handle them. It's not that I was humble, I simply just didn't believe that they were true. And I had these stock phrases ready like, "You're too kind," or "Oh, you're so generous, thank you." Or I'd reflect it right back at them. "Well, you're the real expert," or "I wish I could do it as well as you do." And sometimes I would turn it into a joke like, "Oh, knock it off. If you only knew the mess that I really am." As soon as I received a compliment, it felt like someone started a fire that I needed to put out, and I got really good at extinguishing them. I thought I was being modest, but it wasn't modesty at all. It was a broken sense of self. You see, I didn't believe that I was worthy of being seen that way, not even for a second. So I rejected each and every compliment. And I learned the hard way that when we're in a mental prison, we don't argue with insults. We argue with compliments. Most people think a compliment is a gift. But if you don't believe you deserve it, it doesn't land like a gift at all. It lands like an accusation. Now you're on trial, acting like I did. Do you make a joke? Do you change the subject? Return the favor? Anything to deflect the attention. If someone calls you selfish or lazy, some part of you might go, "Yeah, maybe." But if they call you brilliant or kind or inspiring, that's awkward. Your brain starts scanning for reasons they must be wrong. And sometimes you can get so committed to losing the case against yourself that you reject any evidence to the contrary, even when it's right in front of you, even when it comes from people you admire. And that's what happened to me. I've had the privilege of meeting and working with serious world-class people. I mean, people at the mountaintops. They're on the covers of magazines, headlining TED Talks, inventing things that you use every day. I'm talking about Steve Vai, Robert Fripp, Peter Gabriel, Danny Hillis, and dozens of other people who aren't as famous but are just as influential. People who've shaped culture, technology, and entire genres of music or thinking or the arts. And when some of those people said kind things about me and my work, I didn't feel proud. I felt disoriented because deep down, I still believed they were just being nice or just being polite. Maybe they hadn't seen what was really going on, like the real me yet. I read in a book that you spend your whole life wearing a sign on your back that says everything about you, but you can't read it. Other people tell you what's on the sign, but it's up to you to believe it. That's another hard thing to believe about compliments. They're like a mirror. If you can't look, it's not the mirror's fault. So when those uplifting words came from people I deeply respected, I had to face the hardest question of all. What if they're right? Because if they're right, then I've been wrong about myself for a very long time. And if I've been wrong about that, what else might be possible? And when you're in that place where you can't deal with a compliment, receiving one actually becomes an act of courage. It's not a passive in one ear and out the other event. It requires you to stay present and let someone else's belief in you sit there without being edited or minimized or explained away. And it requires you to do something even harder. Change the story you tell about yourself. So how do you do that? Well, I started by treating compliments like facts. Facts are inarguable and simple. You get enough facts and you have a potential truth. And enough truths can change a story. I thought about it like this. The sky is blue and I am good at playing guitar, let's say. Both things can be true. They can be equally true. If Steve Vai, one of the greatest guitarists on the planet, tells me that I'm a great guitarist, which he has, then by definition, I must be a great guitarist. I don't have to let it get to my head, but I do have to stop calling him a liar or a sucker or a fool because he's none of those things. And if I don't believe him, I'm effectively saying he is. I also have to stop telling myself demeaning things like, "You suck," or "It's not worth the time, money, and energy you put into it because you're just going to fail." Now, given the choice between believing myself And believing Steve Vai, even on my darkest day, I knew I had to trust Steve. Now, this might sound like an extreme example, like I can only take compliments from celebrities or heroes of mine. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm just using him as an example because millions of people know who he is. And I denied his compliments. I wouldn't listen to the guy for many years. Now, I've had to go through the same inner work accepting compliments from, say, Alan Plunkett or Stephanie Shorter. Names you don't know, but they're just as serious to me as Steve Vai. So how do we accept a compliment? Well, accepting a compliment can be as simple as saying thank you. No jokes, no deflection, none of that stuff. Just say thank you. And then quietly acknowledge that someone out there sees something good in you, even if they're not famous, even if they're not at the mountaintop yet. That's okay. You shouldn't need compliments to keep you going anyway. And they shouldn't be the fuel that powers you. But if you're trying to reach your goals while secretly believing you're an idiot, you're not going to make it. You don't see the CEOs of major companies walking around calling themselves stupid failures like I used to. They don't say they suck at business. At some point, they just had to get past that voice in their head. And so do you. So do I. So do all of us. Because freedom begins the moment you stop arguing with what's good about you. Now, I like to say, I spent 30 years believing myself. Now I know better, and I believe in myself. And yes, I know that's a little bit cheesy, but the moment I started believing what other people had to say about me, the less I started listening to that inner voice telling me all sorts of terrible things. Now, next, I want to talk about one of the biggest ideas that changed my whole perspective. It comes from a book called Descartes' Error and was written by a neuroscientist named Antonio Damasio. It comes down to a single quote that refuted hundreds of years of philosophy, and I'll tell you all about it in the next video. But until then, I just want to encourage you to open yourself up to compliments and listen to people that you respect. When they say something good about you, don't dismiss it. Stop even for a second and just say thank you. And maybe later on, when you're alone, spend time with that thought. You got that compliment. You earned it. That person saw something about you and they believe it's accurate. It's wild to start believing it. So to sum it all up, number one, if you have a hard time accepting compliments, there's a good chance you have some inner work to do. Number two, when you receive a compliment, you don't have to put it on a pedestal. Just think of it like a fact. A square has 4 sides, and you are good at XYZ. Do this enough, and you can change the story you tell yourself because you have a whole bunch of new facts. Number 3, accepting a compliment is simple, but not easy. Just say thank you and figure out how to internalize it. Just like you internalize anything else, like it's something new that you've learned or something new you enjoy. And number 4, give yourself time to get through this work. It's not going to fix itself overnight. So be patient and you'll pick up how this all works for you. There's no method. It's just something you've got to figure out for yourself.